Before we go to the sections of Q&A, I would like to emphasize on the etiquette for Zoom section first. So that's two important things for the etiquette for Zoom section. So please ensure that your audio is muted to avoid interrupting the section. And do turn on your video by making sure that your video button showing the following icon. So this is two important things that you have to remind yourself. Venerable Nyanaramsi will answer questions from WhatsApp first. And if time allowed, then you can ask questions with the following of this procedure. So if you have any questions you wish to speak, please use the raise hand under reactions at the center bottom of the screen show below. When the host acknowledges you, we have a question from brother or sister, please unmute yourself. And when you are finished, indicate that you are done by saying sadhu or thank you and mute your microphone. I'm going to invite Venerable Nyanaramsi for this Q&A section. We will start with Namo Tassa 3 times first. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Buddhang Pusheni. Dhammang Pusheni. Sanghang Pusheni. So whenever we would like to invite you to the Q&A sections.
So I hope all meditators have a good practice of loving kindness throughout the day. So this evening we shall begin with questions and answers. The first question: while doing walking metta in my garden, I see my koi fishes swimming in the pond. Is it okay to think, may the fishes be well and happy, etc.? Then I see my dogs, so I change object to my dogs. Loving kindness meditators change the object of loving kindness based on suitable circumstances or conditions. When we practice walking, formal walking meditation and sitting meditations, loving kindness meditators um, have to make an effort to direct the thoughts of loving kindness to one object uh, for a duration of 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and so on. Then they may consider to change to another object loving kindness. Um, but when we practice loving kindness uh, at other times, besides the former practice of walking meditation and sitting meditation, um, so meditators may practice loving kindness while doing the daily routine activities. Um, Sometimes um, there are um, certain sense objects. For example, seeing a dog or the fish swimming in the pond. They are living beings too. If at a time there's a strong feelings of loving kindness arising spontaneously, um, a, thoughts of uh, loving kindness arising strongly, then meditators may change the object. Um, for example, when meditators are practicing loving kindness in the garden, assuming that the object of loving kindness is all beings, may all beings be well, happy, peaceful, may all beings be healthy always, then suddenly um, the meditators see the dogs, and there's a strong feeling of loving kindness or thoughts of loving kindness arising spontaneously. Then meditators may change the object at a time. Um, uh, but meditators should not do it frequently. In other words, the meditators keep on changing the object loving kindness. Um, Meditators wish uh, an object loving kindness a few times or 1 or 2 minutes. Then they change to another object loving kindness, wishing the next object a few times or 1 or 2 minutes. Then they change to another objects. In this way, it is quite difficult to develop stronger and stronger uh, thoughts of loving kindness, and it's not easy to develop deeper and deeper concentration. So meditators may change the object loving kindness, especially when they are practicing loving kindness while doing the routine activities, and when there's a contact of the living objects with the eyes, then there's a strong thoughts of loving kindness or feeling of loving kindness arising. Then meditators may change the object at that moment. Um, when the thoughts of loving kindness towards that object is getting weaker, then meditators may go back to the previous object. For example, may all beings be well, happy, peaceful. May all beings be healthy always. Or meditators may change to another new object. So this is the answer uh, uh, to the first question. So, then the second question: um, would would it be better to use a visual image or the name of a person while saying the meta phrases to the person, especially to a sick person who is a close friend or relative? And some people prefer to use visual imagery while reciting the same metaphrases. Example, pictures of your friends or loved ones around you, and wishing your good friends uh, be well, happy, peaceful, and good health. Could this practice be really helpful to meditators? Um, in this way of the practice of loving kindness meditation, um, meditators are not required to visualize the image of the object of loving kindness. Um, Meditators did not have to look at the photos of the object of loving kindness and so on. It's because um, meditation is a mental work. Um, when you practice loving kindness meditation, your mind has to work. The work of the mind is to generate the thoughts of loving kindness. And the mind can only do one job or one function at each moment. It's not possible for the mind to do two different types of work at the same moment. So visualizing the image of the object, for example, a person, is another process of mental work. Um, if loving kindness meditators have to develop the thoughts of loving kindness and have to visualize the object of loving kindness at the same time, meditators may not able to cultivate the thoughts of loving kindness well, and may not be able to gain good concentration. Some meditators practice loving kindness and visualize the objects at the same time. They may they may feel uh, tiring mentally. This because the mind has to do two types of work at the same moment. Even meditators practicing loving kindness by looking at the photo of a friends, that is also a distraction, that cause a distraction. When the mind seeing the photo, this is another process of mental work. So we visualizing the image of the object is not necessary, it's not required in this way of the practice. Um, if meditators choose a group of friends as the object of loving kindness, if meditators make an effort to visualize every friends, every one of them in these groups, they may spend more time to visualize the face of everyone. Um, if meditators choose all beings staying in a certain location, for example, if you choose all beings staying in uh, Subang, you may not able to visualize all beings in Subang because you have not seen every one of them. If you choose all beings As the object of loving kindness, all beings is beyond your imagination or your thinking powers. When we say all beings, it means all beings in the world, or sometimes we say all beings in the 31 planes of existences. Um, it- Meditators might not have seen any beings um, in the lower realms, for example, in the realms of hungry ghosts. Meditators might have not seen beings in the Deva world, Brahma world, and so on. So it's not possible to visualize the objects of loving kindness, especially when the objects of loving kindness consist of a group of people or beings staying at certain location or beings in the world, in the universe. Um, so visualizations, the image or the smiling face of a person or any object in kindness is not necessarily, is not required. The most important point is the thoughts of loving kindness. When meditators um, wish to practice loving kindness to a person, then meditators have to mention the name. Oh, may so and so be well, happy, peaceful. May so and so be healthy always. If if the name is not mentioned, then meditators may not able to develop the thoughts of loving kindness. Meditators might have to imagine or think or visualize the smiling face of that person. Um, Sometimes meditators practice loving kindness to their teachers. Um, if meditators only have one meditation teachers, then meditators may not have to mention the name. Um, may my meditation teachers be well, happy, peaceful. May my meditation teachers be healthy always, because meditators have only one teacher or meditation teachers in their mind. But if meditators have a few meditation teachers and they wish to direct the thoughts of loving kindness to one of them, then meditators have to mention the name. May my meditation teachers so and so be well, happy, peaceful. May my meditation teachers so and so be healthy always. Um, if meditators want to practice loving kindness towards all the meditation teachers as a group, then meditators may not have to mention the name of every meditation teachers. So um, visualizations is not necessarily not required in this way of meta meditations. Um, then the next question. After one of my meta meditation practice, I reflected and realized my meta meditation is crowded by some of my five aggregates. If I have present feelings or present memories, present thoughts of a specific person, like parents, metta is easily generated in a strong way. If I have unpresent feelings or memories thoughts of a specific person like enemies, metta is hard to generate. I realize the problems lies with me and how I perceive the different specific person. So whenever I have difficult generating metta for specific person like enemy, I practice letting go too. Letting go of past unpleasant feelings, past memories, etc. is including an element of letting go along with my metta meditation, an acceptable way of practicing metta. If I am eventually able to generate the same metta towards all types of specific person and to general objects like all sentient beings, does the practice does the metta practice transform into an upeka practice? Um, so as long as the practice of loving kindness is not successful, meditators will develop the thoughts of loving kindness with boundary or boundaries or with a limit. In other words, meditators are able to practice loving kindness towards those persons, those individuals whom they love, whom they respect, um, and so on. They could not direct the thoughts of loving kindness towards their enemies or someone whom they dislike. This because the, the thoughts of loving kindness is not well developed. So meditators um, discriminate. That means there's this feeling of discriminations. Um, I like this person. I respect this person, so I could develop the thoughts, loving kindness uh, towards that person. I dislike this person. I do not have. That's why I do not have the feeling of loving kindness. This because meditators are not as successful in the practice. Uh, so if they can keep on practicing loving kindness, starting with those individuals whom they respect, whom they whom they love, and when they are able to carry forward their thoughts of loving kindness, feelings of loving kindness towards other persons, other individuals, eventually they could also develop the equal feeling of loving kindness or equal strength of thoughts of loving kindness towards every individual. Um, so I shall explain this point. Um, how does a loving kindness meditators able to practice loving kindness without a limit or without a boundary or in another talk. So if one aspire to be successful in the practice of loving kindness, one of the important factors is to practice forgiveness. You are willing to forgive others, especially your enemies who might have done something wrong or you're offended by their conducts. So forgiveness is important. And the other important factor is not to uh, keep in mind the unpleasant memories. Um, so this is the thoughts by the Buddha in two of the Dhammapada verses. I shall quote from these two Dhammapada verses. Um, yeah, he abused me, he ill-treated me, he overpowered me, he robbed me. So the enmity of those harboring such thoughts cannot be at peace. Enmity means the feeling of hatred towards the person who had abused you or ill-treated you in the past. So as a loving kindness meditators, if loving kindness meditators harbor or keeping in mind these type of thoughts, then it's not possible to steal the thoughts of hatred. So, then the next Dhammapada verse, he abused me, he ill-treated me, he overpowered me, he robbed me. The enmity of those not harboring such thoughts can be at peace. Um, so that's why when meditators practice loving kindness, especially when they practice loving kindness to their enemies, they should not recall to the mind the past unpleasant memories. So, um, so, so in the practice of loving kindness, meditators have to let go of these unpleasant or painful feelings or painful memories, thoughts um, from the uh, object of loving kindness. Um, in the practice of loving kindness meditation, meditators um, cannot gain or attain upeka or equanimities. The meditators want to transform the metta practice into upeka, the practice upeka equanimity. The meditators have to change the object concentration to upeka. So there are four Brahma Viharas: metta, loving kindness; karuna, compassion; mudita, sympathetic joy, or the feeling of greatness, seeing the success of others. And then the fourth Brahma Vihara is upeka, equanimity. So these are the objects of loving kindness. So when meditators um, choose metta or karuna or mudita as the objects of loving kindness, then they can attain third stage of absorption concentration in accordance to the teaching of Sutta Pitaka. If meditators wish to attain the fourth stage of absorption concentration, then meditators have to change objects of concentration, for example, from metta to upeka. So, so when meditators have attained the third stage of absorption concentration by the practice of metta meditation, then they may, if they wish, they may um, change the object to upeka in order to attain the fourth stage of absorption concentration. Uh, s- so this is the answer to this question. And the fourth question, uh, good day, Bhante. I would like to know during this morning practice, when I send metta to myself, I feel nervous, but to the heart is pumping fast, but to others it's not. Oh, may I know why? Um, so mm, the, the reason could be that um, the yogi does not feel as at ease with herself. Uh, so sometimes meditators, uh, she, she, she may remind herself uh, not to feel nervous, um, putting efforts, putting forth effort uh, to wish uh, herself calmly. Um, then they may able to then she is maybe able to overcome this nervous feeling of nervous eventually. Uh, and the next question, uh, uh, Bhante, this morning Bhante say it is inappropriate to have a departed person as metta object. When we radiate metta to parents, is it inappropriate to radiate metta if they had passed away? Even though they have passed away a long time ago and no sense of sorrow when we do so. Um, um, so the, the practice of loving kindness um, is the objects of loving kindness are living beings. Um, when a person had passed away, we do not know where this person has taken rebirth, or in those where this person reborn in the Deva realms or in the Brahma realms and so on. So because we do not know where this person reborn, then as if we could not focus our mind where to focus. But when loving kindness meditators choose a person who is still alive, even though that person could be staying far away, for example, staying in the West, um, meditators are still able to practice loving kindness towards the person because that person is, is still alive. Um, and though meditators did not feel sorrow or sad while practicing loving kindness to a person who had passed away, but meditators uh, will not be able to um, develop concentration or to attain any concentration. Uh, so the commentaries, we, the, the the path of purification, um, explain it with a story. Um, so, so there was a young monk um, who who took who 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 um, took his teachers as an object of loving kindness. So he could uh, develop concentration quite easily as he was skillful to attain uh, deep concentration, uh, observation concentration by the practice of metta meditation. Then later on, he could not gain any more concentration, though he continued to practice loving kindness towards uh, his teachers. Um, so he did not know the reasons. So he went to see another senior elder. He was another senior monk. Um, the senior monk asked him um, um, to look for his object, uh, to look for his object of loving kindness. So he followed the instruction and went to find his teacher. Then he realized that his teacher had passed away. So he uh, changed the object of loving kindness to another teacher. Then he was able to attain absorption concentration again through the practice of metta. Um, so the the practice of loving kindness is only meaningful if the thoughts of loving kindness is directed to a person who is still alive, or when that person had gone to another world, then the meditators still wanting to choose that person who had gone to another world as an object is not meaningful to practice. In other words, our concern of loving kindness, when you want to show your concern of loving kindness, your kind or your kindness is meaningful, that you show your loving kindness to a person who is still alive. Um, so that's why we do not choose a, a person who has passed away as an object of loving kindness. If meditators want to show their loving kindness, express the feeling kindness or gratitude to a person who has passed away. For example, their uh, parents who have passed away, then they may put forth effort to do some merits in their name. So in other words, when meditators could observe, for example, the five moral precepts well, could put forth effort to undertake the mental trainings, such as training in concentration by the practice of loving kindness, and then the training of wisdoms by the practice of mindfulness. Then meditators dedicate these merits to, to their departed parents or departed friends or departed relatives. This is a way to uh, to express our gratitude, to show, to express our thoughts of concern towards the departed one by doing something good, something which is meritorious, and dedicate these merits to the departed one. But in the actual practice of loving kindness meditation, we do not choose a person who has passed away as an object of loving kindness. Then question number 6, Bhante, which is more effective and beneficial, sending metta or putting metta in action, or is it both? Or, yeah, yeah. So we are not only we are not only practicing metta in thoughts. As you know, there are three kinds of actions: mental actions, verbal actions, and physical action. Similarly, the, the Buddha also taught three kinds of metta. Metta manokama, that means metta in thoughts. Karma means action or mental actions. So you have to put forth effort to develop these thoughts um, in the mind. Then metta in speech, metta vachikama. And the third is metta in body actions, metta kaya kama. If, 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 a, if a loving kindness meditators um, could not translate the thoughts of loving kindness into speech and body actions, and that loving kindness meditators, for example, always doing something or speak something that cause misery to others, either verbally, physically, mentally, then the practice of loving kindness of that person is meaningless. Um, he that that loving kindness meditators is in fact not successful in the practice of loving kindness at all. He may gain, he or she may gain the most some concentration, but not the but could not uh, develop the thoughts of loving kindness. So that's why metta manokama, loving kindness meditation, or in other words, the cultivation of the thoughts of loving kindness should be strengthened, by the practice of loving kindness in speech and body actions. So when one is able to practice loving kindness in speech and body actions, then that in turn will help to strengthen the thoughts loving kindness, or in order to make progress in loving kindness meditation. So we have to practice loving kindness in thoughts, speech, and body actions in order to become successful in the practice. Um, then the next question, question number 7. Last part of meditation, when send, may all beings be well and happy. feel very hard to continue. Mind like so heavy and draggy. I make decision to switch back to send metta to myself again to release the heavy mind feeling. Is that the right way to practice? Um, um, so meditators may come back to themselves, or in this case, for example, in this uh, case, the meditators feel the mind is heavy, draggy, could not continue the practice metta. The meditators may choose another object or may come back to themselves again. Um, so sometimes meditators may have to choose object, change to another new object, or come back to themselves in order to uh, arouse the thoughts of loving kindness. Um, so when the heavy mind, the feeling of heavy mind had disappeared or released, meditators may go back to the previous object of loving kindness again. Uh, Then the next question, question number 8. Bhante, if in the midst of contemplating, the mind has gone into concentration, peaceful and feeling very soft at heart, what should the yogi do next? Continue to switch object or what? Um, so when there's concentration, the mind is peaceful, soft. Um, the most important um, criteria is the feeling of loving kindness, or in other words, the thoughts of loving kindness. Um, Meditators should not let the mind dwelling or staying with the peacefulness or the soft feeling and in the heart. So at the time, meditators should ensure that the thoughts of loving kindness did not stop there. They should uh, there should be a continuations of the rising of thoughts of loving kindness, one after another, again and again. Um, so when meditators are able to practice loving kindness intensively, especially in a longer retreats. Sometimes meditators are instructed to practice loving kindness to one object, especially a person, for a longer and longer period of time. So in other words, meditators might practice loving kindness to a person, for example, a respected teacher, during walking and sitting meditation, and a certain period of time while doing some routine activities. Um, it's not um, enough that meditators are able to wish and obtain loving kindness with some good feeling of mettas for a few minutes. Then the feeling of metta will be subsiding eventually. So we want to develop more and more everlasting feeling of loving kindness, or stronger and stronger thoughts of loving kindness. So in this case, meditators have to um, ensure that the thoughts of loving kindness are getting stronger concentration getting deeper. Uh, in other words, do not let the mind dwelling or staying with the peacefulness or softness in the heart. Uh, then question number 9, dear Bhante, uh, how can we know or compare that we are practicing metta correctly? Is it by gauging our happiness level? Um, the best yardstick to measure the success of the practice is the thoughts of loving kindness. Um, so in the words, when meditators are successful in the practice loving kindness, then there is no more feeling of hatred or feeling of dislike, anger when they meet or when they see their enemies or someone whom they dislike. Um, so, in other words, when the meditators are successful in the practice of loving kindness, then they shall be able to see everyone as lovable. At the beginning of practice, we we might practice loving kindness with a boundary, with a limit. I shall explain this point in another talk. In other words, meditators might not able to practice loving kindness towards their enemy. Whenever meditators think of their enemies, the feeling of dislike or hatred will be arising. But a successful meditators in the practice loving kindness, when they think of their enemy, they will he or she will not regard him or her as enemy anymore. In the mind of a successful loving kindness meditators, he or she will regard that enemy as a lovable person. There is no more feeling of anger, feeling of hatred or dislike. So the best way to judge the practice of loving kindness is the thoughts of loving kindness. Um, so one is successful in the practice of, when one is successful in the practice of loving kindness, then one shall overcome dosa or all form of dosa. And one, if one is not successful, then one is not able to overcome dosa. Sometimes one is overpowered by or called selfish love or possessiveness. Um, so there are two kinds of enemies to the practice metta. The first enemy of metta, sometimes known as enemy within. The enemy within is what called love with attachment or love with possessiveness, selfish affections. So in meditators who are not yet successful in the practice may overwhelm or overpowered by this enemy. The enemy we are sometimes known as a distant enemy is dosa. Dosa, uh, as I have explained in this morning, dosa hatreds can be manifested in different degree of intensities, such as anger, feeling of dislike, and so on. Um, so, a successful loving kindness meditators will overpower this dosa to the practice loving kindness. Um, so I shall explain in more details in the next talk. Then the last question, Bhante, when we sending well wishes to others, somehow it become more like a mechanical process just to recite the phrases mentally. How to radiate metta genuinely. So when the concentration is getting weaker and the interest in the welfare and happiness of the object loving kindness is also getting weaker, then the practice of loving kindness can become mechanical. In other words, meditators could be reciting the mental wish, but the mind or the attention of mind is somewhere else. So meditators have to bring the attention of mind, focus the attention on the practice again. Um, Sometimes meditators may have to do some contemplation in order to arouse the thoughts of loving kindness. For example, meditators have been practicing loving kindness to first object, second object, third object. Then the the practice is getting mechanical. Mechanical. Meditators merely reciting the meta phrases, or meditators are getting bored or feeling boredom in the practice. So sometimes meditators may do some contemplation. Uh, for example, contemplates on the benefits of practicing metta, or contemplate the dangers of hatreds, or contemplate that um, I wish to live happily. Um, I wish that my life be free from suffering, be free from danger. Uh, Other beings, um, as well as my observing kindness, so and so, also wish to live happily. They also wish to live peacefully, be free from suffering, and so on. So at the time, meditators do some contemplation in this way. So when the feeling of boredom has gone, the meditators should go back to the former way of the practice again. May so and so be well, happy, peaceful. May so and so be healthy always. So meditators have to bring up the mental effort into practice. Have to bring out the interest to, into the practice. When we have interest in something, then the mind can become very alert. Then one will be able to focus attention well on something that one is interested of. Um, so similarly, in meditation, such as loving kindness meditation, when we say meditators must take interest in the practice, must take interest in the welfare and happiness of the object of loving kindness. In other words, they have to learn to um, um, put more attention into the practice. then eventually they they could develop stronger and stronger thoughts of loving kindness or feeling of loving kindness. So uh, this is the answer to the last question or question number 10.
Yes, so seem like we have more time. There is some time left that we can do the raise hand questions. So we have about 30 minutes left. If any of you would like to ask any questions, please kindly raise your hand up. So it seems that there's no more questions, I think. There's no one raised their hand up. So
Since there's no question, I shall explain one or two more points in the practice of loving kindness. The first uh, point is about uh, relating the thoughts of loving kindness or transmitting the feeling of loving kindness to the object of loving kindness. Um, in the true sense of bhavana, the word bhavana is usually translated as meditation, but it also means mental training, mental culture, mental developments. So when we undertake bhavana meditation, the aim is to develop our own mind. The true sense of bhavana is to remove all kinds of uh, evil thoughts, unwholesome mental states, and at the same time cultivating or developing uh, wholesome mental factors or wholesome mental states. So when meditators are practicing loving kindness, meditators are indeed putting putting forth effort to develop the wholesome mental factor of metta, uh, which is known as adosa in the teaching of Abhidharma. It, so when meditators are able to develop this wholesome mental factor of metta, then the opposite cannot arise. So two different mental states or two different mental factors can't arise at the same moment. When there's a thought of goodwill or thoughts of loving kindness, then the opposite of it, uh, thoughts of ill will, um, can arise. So when meditators could put forth effort to cultivate wholesome mental factors, then unwholesome mental factors can arise. Then eventually, meditators may experience calmness, peacefulness of the mind, and with concentration as well. But concentration is not yet the aim of bhavana. Concentration is a means to develop or cultivate wisdoms. Wisdom that realizes the true nature of conditioned phenomena. In order to realize the true nature of mental and physical phenomena. When the wisdom is getting more penetrative, when meditators is able to realize supramundane wisdoms, for example, the path knowledge. Uh, so the first stage of path knowledge uproots kilesa, tutas kilesa, mental defilements, their doubts, uh, uh, doubts and wrong view or DT. Um, so in other words, when we practice bhavana, we are putting effort to develop our own mind. So when we practice metta bhavana, loving kindness meditation, we are putting effort to cultivate these thoughts of loving kindness in our own mind. Though metta bhavana is usually translated as radiating the thoughts of loving kindness or radiating the feeling of loving kindness, but it's not so much on radiating or transmitting the feeling of loving kindness. Um, just imagine that if the thoughts of loving kindness is very weak, then how does one is able to radiate that weak feeling of loving kindness to the objects or to others? Um, um, but when meditators could develop the thoughts of loving kindness, wishing the object sincerely, able to wish the object constantly and continuously, and at the same time able to overcome any kind of hindrances in meditation. The meditators shall gain deeper and deeper concentration. But the most important thing is that the thoughts of loving kindness is getting stronger and stronger. So when the thoughts of loving kindness is strong enough, the mind will have the power to radiate it out by itself. Loving kindness meditators need not have to make an extra effort or additional effort or making an intentional effort to send out the feeling of loving kindness to the object or to others. We take the examples of the feeling of hatred or anger. Um, um, if the mind of a person is full of anger, overpowered by uh, hatred, and uh, that person also keep on cursing someone in the mind. So if anyone or you go near to the person, then how do you feel? You may feel uneasy. You may sense that the atmosphere of the place is not calm. It's very hostile. You want to go away or leave the place as soon as possible. Does it mean that person whose mind is full of anger, overpowered by hatred, thoughts of ill will? Does it mean that person radiate the feeling of anger or hatred, or sending out the feeling of anger, hatred to you or to anyone who did feel uneasy? Actually, it's not because of his radi- his act of radiating the feeling of anger, but because the mind of that person is full of anger, overpowered by hatred. So when the angry mind, the hatred mind is so strong that others who come near to that person would sense it or feel it. Um, so similarly, if your thoughts of loving kindness is very weak, if you want to send it up, it's impossible. It's merely your imaginations. So in this way of practice of loving kindness meditation, meditators focus the effort to cultivate the thoughts of loving kindness in their mind. And then another point is that um, about the feeling of loving kindness. Uh, um, Sometimes in the practice loving kindness meditation, we, we we may have the understanding or idea that we must have the feeling of loving kindness in order to practice loving kindness, or in order to cultivate the thoughts of loving kindness. Um, but in, in the actual fact, the feeling of loving kindness is the result of the practice. At the beginning of practice of loving kindness, and as long as the concentration is not strong enough, the feeling of loving kindness is very weak. Or in other words, the feeling of loving kindness is not distinct at all. Um, so meditators did not have to make an effort intentionally create a feeling of loving kindness. So if meditators want to create a feeling of kindness meditation, create a feeling of loving kindness, this is merely due to some imaginations. But if meditators could practice loving kindness correctly by wishing the every object loving kindness sincerely, and able to do it for a longer and longer period of time, when meditators are able to attain some degree of deep concentration, then they may realize the feeling of loving kindness arising in the mind. Feeling of loving kindness should be experienced in the mind. It's not some form of bodily feelings. We should understand that loving kindness is a mental state. Is a mental factor of adosa. So we should experience the feeling of loving kindness in the mind, not in the body. Um, so similarly, meditators should not focus their attention on the body. For example, some meditators think that the feeling of loving kindness, compassion is arising in their hearts. So they focus their attention in the chest, where they think this is location of the heart. But when meditators focus their attention at that place or at a point, that is another process of mental work. So it can become distractions to the practice. Sometimes some meditators focus their attention in the area of chest. Due to the power of focusing, they may feel warm, experience some warmness in the area of the chest. Then they take that warm feeling as loving kindness. Then they make an effort to send up or to transmit that warm feeling of loving kindness to the object and so on. But this is not um, is the right thing, correct way or the right thinking of the practice. So the feeling of loving kindness should be experienced in the mind. Um, so meditators, just be aware of the mental wish as the thoughts loving kindness. For example, when you wish the object may so and so be well, happy, peaceful, may so and so be healthy always, you just be aware this wish as a thought. You should not focus your attention on the words. You should not hold the mental wish like a mantra, or you hold you hold the mental wish as a mantra. You may be able to gain concentration, but may not be able to develop the thoughts of loving kindness well. So as you know, there's a saying that the thought that counts, or it's not the words. Um, so it's important to bear in mind that meditators should not imagine that or thinking that they have this feeling of loving kindness flowing up from their hearts, or they purposely make an effort to create the feeling of loving kindness. Um, the other important point that I have mentioned is visualization. Um, there are different ways or methods of practicing loving kindness. But in accordance with this way, we do not visualize the object. We, visualization is a distraction to the practice of loving kindness, as well as concentration. So there's a question just send in. Um, uh, what are some simple ways we can practice metta in daily chores? Um, uh, so when meditators want to practice metta at home while doing their daily chores, um, then it depends on the conditions. So when we want to practice loving kindness or mindfulness meditation, we know there's benefit in the practice. Um, But the commentary also mentioned that one should consider the next point, or this known as suitability. Or it, that means one have to consider um, suitable time, suitable place. Or at the same time, one did not have to do any mental work. Or um, sometimes due to condition of life, one may have to do some mental planning. Then one may not be one may not be able to practice um, meditation at the time. So while doing daily chores, if meditators do not have to do it in a hurry, and then meditators may practice metta um, with a with a simple mental wish or short mental wish. For example, while sweeping, meditators may practice metta um, to all beings. May all beings uh, be healthy always. May all beings be healthy always. If meditators are able to focus the attention on a specific object, for example, the children's, then they may wish that may my children be healthy always, or may my children be safe always. Um, so meditators practice metta, for example, may all beings be healthy always, may all beings be healthy always. After practicing metta um, towards all beings, wishing all beings a few times, then suddenly a thought arising, thinking of the children's, and meditators intend to practice metta towards their children's, then they can change the object. May my children be healthy always. May my children be healthy always. Um, so at the time, meditators may not be able to focus the attention fully on the practice metta, but they may be able to cultivate the thoughts of loving kindness to a certain degree. So metta meditation can be practiced at any time, any place, as long as the place and the time are suitable. And meditators may not have to take into consideration of the durations. So um, meditators should not think that I have only 5 or 10 minutes to practice. It's not beneficial. Um, it's a, it's a, it's a only waste of time. Meditators, if meditators have only a few minutes, 5 minutes or 10 minutes, they may also choose to practice metta to any object that they like, and so on. Uh, so this practice metta um, should be undertaken um, uh, as much possible um, for the purpose of overcoming dosa. Um, so dosa um, is hatred. So the standard word used for dosa is hatred. But it also covers the sense of the words such as anger, dislike, aversion, ill will, and so on. Then it's because of different degrees of intensity of dosa that then it also can give rise to some emotional feelings such as fear, uh, frustration, uh, disappointment, and so on. So the practice metta um, is very helpful for one who wishes to live in harmony peacefully with oneself as well as with others. So meditators can practice metta while doing their daily chores with a simple wish or shorter wish and so on.
Yes, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you very much, sir, to answer all the questions and giving us instructions. Now we shall do the honoring and making of aspiration. Chanting together. Yes. Imaya Dhammanudhamma Patipatiya Putang Pusheni. With this practice that conform to the Dhamma, I honor the Buddha. Imaya Dhammanudhamma Patipatiya Dhammang Pusheni. With this practice that conforms to the Dhamma, I honor the Dhamma. Imaya Dhammanudhamma Patipatiya Sanghang Pusheni. With this practice that conforms to the Dhamma, I honor the Sangha. Imaya Dhammanudhamma Patipatiya Mata Pitaro Pusheni. With this practice that conforms to the Dhamma, I honor my parents. Imaya Dhammanudhamma Patipatiya Acariye Pusheni. With this practice that conforms to the Dhamma, I honor my teachers. Aspiration. Atha Imaya Patipatiya Chati Chara Priyati Maranangha Parimuchisami. With the meditation practice, may I be liberated from the universal sufferings of birth, decay, sickness, and death. Idang me bunyam asavakayawahang hotu. May these merits of mine lead me to the extinctions of mental taints. Idang me bunyam nippanasa patiyo hontu. May these merits of mine be a condition to attain enlightenment, cessation from the cycle of birth and death. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. With respect, we would like to invite Bhante for sharing. Yes, sharing and meditations of merits.
So, sharing of merits. Imano punya bagam
Imano punya
mata pitu nanca
mata piduranca
acariya nanca
Sariyananja
sapasata nanca
Sapasatananja
sapamita nanca
Sapamitananja
sapanyati nanca
Sapayatinanja
sapapeta nanca
Sapapetananja
sapadewata nanca
Dewatananja
ajema
Ajema
sapesata
Sapesata
kita hontu.
Sukhita Hontu.
So next we dedicate all these merits to the departed relatives or departed friends and so on. Idame nyatinam hotu.
Idang me yadinam hontu.
Sukita hontu nyatayo.
Sukhita hontu yadayo.
Idame nyatinam hotu.
Idang me yadinam hontu.
Sukita hontu nyatayo.
Sukhita hontu yadayo.
Idame nyatinam hotu.
Idang me yadinam hontu.
Sukita hontu nyatayo.
Sukhita hontu yadayo.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
pay homage to the triple team, pay respect to Buddha, Krishna, Dhamma, Krishna, Sangha, Krishna. So we finish our evening sections now. So may you have a peaceful night with Metta always. So see you tomorrow morning. Have a good night.